Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today I am using these cute little Carol puppies from Gerda Steiner Designs, and I am also participating in a different kind of challenge. So here I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to fit all four of these little cute puppies on my card. The sentiment is actually like right centered. So I decided to put it in the bottom right hand corner. Not that I wouldn't anyway. If you've ever watched my videos, you know my designs are typically bottom right hand side. So I realized that I am going to have to do a little bit of masking in order to be able to fit all four of these puppies. So that's what you see up at the top here is just some Eclipse masking paper. I'm not doing any ink blending or anything. This is just straight, simple stamp masking so that I can fit all of them. So on to the challenge that I'm doing. So my friend Michelle Lupton does this Christmas card challenge. So last year she did it and she picked she asked people, challenge me to do something. And then a bunch of people picked whatever the challenges were. And then she asked almost like guest designers to play along with her. So last year when she asked me to do it, she was like, glow in the dark, question mark, question mark. And I was like, dude, glow in the dark? Like, what? Couldn't we get an easier one? And she was like, nobody wants this one. And I was like, fine, I will do glow in the dark. So I did. And that is also a video on YouTube last Christmas. It's linked on the blog, but, I could link it in the YouTube description. I can find it and link it. The card came out super cute. And I did glow in the dark embossing powder. So this time, she asked me to do it, but then I got to pick what the challenge was. And so Michelle and I both love rainbows and flowers, and so I picked black and white with a pop of color. Any color, just one color. Because I thought, well, we're both like flowers, like that'll be kind of fun to do a technique or whatever. And then when I sat down to do the card, well, first of all, when I sat down to do the card originally, my power went out. There was a transformer that blew down the street from my house. And so, of course, as soon as I get Peanut into bed and I have a minute to make the card, because I wait until the last minute for everything, you guys know this, the power went out. So I'm trying to color by flashlight, light, and which is helpful to know, by the way, if you ever in a power outage, if you take your flashlight and turn it upside down so that the beam of light is facing towards your ceiling, it will actually illuminate almost your entire room. So there you go, in case you ever have to color by flashlight, as I had to. But so when I went to sit down to do it, I obviously could not do the video. So I decided that I was going to use these puppies, even though I wanted to use flowers. I knew Michelle was going to use flowers. I wanted to use flowers, but I bought these puppies back in October, and Christmas is rapidly approaching. And if I didn't use them, that I wasn't going to be able to use them this year, and I would just have to sit on them till next year because they are caroling puppies. Like, how else am I going to use them? I can't get rid of the sheet music or the Santa hats. Know what I'm saying? So I decided that I could make this work, in fact, with black and white and a pop of color. My pop of color would clearly be red. I took some liberties, I'm going to be honest. I took some liberties because I used two different kinds of gray. I used warm grays and cool grays. And I used my warm grays to color my quote-unquote white. That's what you see me doing here with the sheet music. And it's going to seem like this is super dark and I'm coloring like brown paper. But once we start adding more of the color to it, I promise you by the end of it, they really will look white. They won't look brown. Right now, there's just no other contrasting color. So I'm adding shading to the binding of the little Carol books. And then where their hands are grabbing the paper. There's not a lot of real estate here. Not that I would be using, I guess, more than 3 colors anyway, but use the 3-color blend, and then I tried to just make sure that my coloring was very tight up next to whatever the object was, so that I would still have white in the center of all of the booklets. So did that, and then I used the cool grays to color the puppies, both white and black, and also to cover, why can't I talk? Color Santa hats. So yeah, and I think these are so cute, and I linked them to Simon Says Stamp, in case you wanted to grab them up before next year. I tried to link them to Gerda Steiner, but they're actually closed. Not like closed permanently, but they're closed for the holidays. They're a family-owned business. Her and her husband, I believe, do most of the work. She does all the illustration. He kind of handles the business end of it. They're perfectly adorable. And honestly, I think it's really admirable that they took the time for their family for Christmas. I love it. I think that's awesome. So because this video will be up for, as long as YouTube's around, I will go back and link to their website once it is back open, but for right now, for the holidays, it is closed. Not an option. You'll notice as we do this, usually for my videos, I show you something one time and then I color the rest off camera. In order for us to even have time to even kind of talk to each other, since it's been so long since I've done a video, I legit had to leave everything in. Like, I had to leave everything in to even make it like a 20-minute video so that we could even have a conversation that was not just about the card. Also, if you make it all the way till the end-ish, there's a funny little happy surprise kind of thing. Anyway, so here I've switched over to the cool grays, and then I am just, when you're coloring something white, which is what I'm coloring this little bulldog, you want to just add your gray markers where the shadows are going to be and try to leave as much white as you can. You still want there to be white in your puppy dog because they are white and you're just coloring the areas that are shadowed. So what have I been doing? Yeah, I'm not ready for Christmas. We just talked about this, how I always wait till the last minute for everything. I still have to get like some stocking stuffer stuff. But other than that, like I was just at Target. That's why this video is going up 4 hours after my blog post, because I had to go to Target to get gifts for both my brother-in-laws because they weren't done yet. So I do love Christmas. Peanut and I made cookies for Santa today. And they were naked cookies though, because I didn't have a chance. Like his dad showed up before we had a chance to get icing on them, so he took them. He took them home to his dad's house to leave for Santa, but we didn't have a chance to do the icing, which made me a little bit sad because I know he really likes that part. But at least we got to make the cookies together. And then what else did we do? We wrapped gifts all day today. We made a lot of cards. Peanut is super into the card making right now, and especially since in kindergarten, he's learning how to read and write his words, write his letters, all of those things. He really enjoys doing that. So oftentimes he will want to do a card so that he can quote unquote write a message to everybody, but then he doesn't actually take the cards anywhere and they all end up staying at my at my house. And he kind of comes by naturally because I don't send cards either. I'm really not very good at mailing things out. I don't have a reason to go to the post office like ever, so it just doesn't occur to me to grab those things and like put them in the mail. And most of the time I do make a lot of one-layer cards, so those ones I could probably just like put in my own mailbox, so I really have no excuse for why I'm not mailing those. But oftentimes it's supposed to go with something, like with a gift or whatever, and then I have to go into the post office, and I don't want to, especially not during Christmas season. Like, God bless all of you guys who are making Christmas cards and actually mailing them. I've been lucky enough to be the recipient of a couple of them, and they're beautiful, and I love them, and I keep them. But yeah, I'm not going to the post office this time of year. I feel so bad for those people. Like, UPS. It was UPS today. He brought me one box, like, and just left it. He brought me the box and left it. And then, I don't know, 10 minutes later, I happened to see him walking up my driveway, and he's got another box in his hand. And like, I went out there and I was like, hey, and he was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't see this before. I don't know how that happened. And I was like, dude, it's no big. Like, I get it. It's got to be crazy. Like, just the hours that they're working and doing things so that we can all get our items that, all of us didn't want to go out in the snow or the rain or whatever, and bought them online. I personally don't love online shopping. I like being able to see the gifts, and it makes me feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I took the time out of my day to go, purchase them, make sure that, I had their size, their this, their whatever. It just feels like more effort to me. But there are some things that I just couldn't get at the store here, or like I had a special order, or, it was only an online store. You guys know what I'm saying. So I try to, support my local stores as much as possible. But sometimes you just gotta buy online. Sometimes you gotta, and then like when it doesn't come in a timely fashion, that's so frustrating. Thankfully, all of mine did arrive, even though some of them were today, but I still got 3 days until actual Christmas, so I didn't do too bad. Last year, I think it was like Christmas Eve, and I was waiting for things to arrive. Quick note about the card. So the little bulldog and then the little wiener dog are both short hair, so very smooth looking. So I didn't add really any texture to their fur. This little puppy dog, you can tell by the way he's drawn that he's a furry puppy dog. That, he just has a lot of texture to his fur. He's a longer haired dog. So for this one, I am going to add some texture in. And so I'm doing it the same way that I always do. I'm laying down the shadows. But then once I have this black marker, once I have all like the shadows laid in, I'm going to go in and start like adding just little flicks with the tip of the marker, very light hand. And I'm not connecting them. I'm just kind of, flicking them up into his face to start creating that texture. And then I'm going to do the same thing on his hands and his feet. His body, not so much, because most of it is blocked by that caroling book. You're not really going to be able to see any texture there anyway. But so this is one of those things where you don't want a smooth blend, because we are creating that texture. If you try to get a smooth blend over it, you're just going to completely negate all of the work you're putting in by doing the little flicks. And it does take practice to be able to use such a light hand with a brush nib, but just keep trying it. Like, don't get discouraged, just keep trying it. If you get a line that's too thick, maybe back your hand up on the marker. That usually helps you. So it takes away your opportunity to put down a ton of pressure, because you don't have necessarily a lot of control over the marker. I usually keep my hand pretty tight towards the nib, but for my colored pencil coloring, I have to back my hand up on the pencil, because otherwise I push way too hard and I'm coloring for maybe 20 minutes and my hand hurts because I'm gripping the pencil so hard. So just maybe try that. Maybe try backing your hand up on the marker. So to fill it in, I am filling it completely in because I want him to look like a little black puppy dog. But I am doing it with those same flicking strokes. I'm not just completely, filling it in. For this last little puppy dog, I'm going to do him white, just like I did the bulldog, but I thought that he would be super cute as a Dalmatian. My sister, I don't even know if she still does, honestly. She has shepherds. But so she loved Dalmatians when she was younger. In fact, so I taught myself how to cross stitch when I was 15. Just because I needed a hobby and I thought that would be fun to do. So I taught myself how to cross stitch, and I bought those little ones, they're 99-cent ones. And the first one that I ever finished was I guess technically it was a Care Bear, but it wasn't like a real, I don't know. I mean, it was a cross stitch, but it wasn't like a real one. You know what I'm saying? It was like a kit. The first one I ever really finished, it's like 4 little Dalmatians and a fire hydrant, and they all had fireman hats on. The irony of me working for a police station now. But I gave it to my sister, Kim, for Christmas. So it was the first cross stitch I ever finished, was a bunch of little Dalmatian puppies. And then I went on to make, I don't even know how many more. I actually started one, let's be honest, I had started it quite some time ago. I picked it back up again pretty recently. And I haven't really made a lot of headway on it, just because I've had so many other things I needed to get done with the holidays and stuff. But I am hoping to get back to it. I've made a bunch of cross stitches, but I've never actually made one for myself. And this one would actually be for me. Something always happens though when I try to make one for myself. Somebody sees it and they're like, "Hey, can you?" And I'm like, "Sure, take it. Why not?" So yeah, hopefully this one, it's the Dimensions Gold collection, so they almost look like real photographs by the time that you're done. There's so much detail in them, and they're beautiful. So I kept all of my little Dalmatian spots the same. I kind of varied the size as they faded off, like towards his snout, or like towards his middle, because usually their bellies don't have any spots on them. I lessened the amount of spots I was putting down. Now for the terrifying part. This was so terrifying for me. Because everything is just white. It's just white, and then I'm going to put red on it. And then, it was so scary because I was like, one slip of this marker and you're totally going to be able to see it because everything is this stark white. Thankfully, I didn't really have too many issues. I had one little slip, the little wiener dog's hat into his, like the white fuzzy parts. There was like one little dot, and I ended up being able to cover it with a white gel pen. The problem with the colorless blender, which is normally amazing, is even though it pushes the color around, it actually can sometimes make it spread. So maybe one little spot that you wouldn't have noticed before, it will spread it to be a little bit wider. Now the color will be lighter, but the spot's bigger. And then you have to, work at getting rid of the entire spot. So I just opted for the white gel pen. If that happens to you and it's just like one little teeny tiny, barely noticeable spot, use the white gel pen. Do it. For the red combination, I use the same one that I always do. It's just got a lot of contrast in it, and I really like it, especially since this is going to be the only quote-unquote color on my card. I wanted to make sure that it was going to have really good dimension. So we made cookies today, and we wrapped some gifts. Between Peanut and the dog, though, like just walking all over my wrapping paper, I wanted to just tear my hair out. Like, honestly, I was like, why? Why do you have to be on the wrapping paper? Like, explain it to me. I don't understand it. Then he put bows all over the TV, which was fine. Like, whatever. It's festive. Like, you do you. And then we also made cards. So while I was coloring this, Peanut was coloring his own card, which was what? It was the Nativity playset from Neat and Tangled. So I thought, well, that's fitting for the time of year. And so he colored that up for his cousin. He made a card for his cousin, which he still left here and he didn't take with him. And I will have him, the next time I have him is on Christmas, so he won't be giving that card to his cousin because he'll see her on Christmas Eve. But yeah, just really crazy with the Christmas shopping. I am a little bit of a psychopath because I don't really like shopping. I know. I like shopping for craft stuff because I can sit at home in my pajamas and do it. But as far as like going out into the store and stuff, I'm not actually a huge fan. I do it because I feel like you should support local businesses. But I pick one day and then it's just like a 6-hour shop-a-thon. So I can just get it done and over with and move on with my life. Because when I was... I don't like shopping because when I was younger, so my dad would pretty much on the weekends, like my parents were off work, my dad would stay home, my mom would go run errands, and she would take me and my sister with us. And she is a browser. I love you, Mom. I love you so much. She's a browser. And then we would just spend all day, I'm not exaggerating, all of the day in the store with my mama, and she make you try stuff on, and then, this color, that color, do I like this, do I like that, multiple stores, and then at the end of all of it, when it was just like you couldn't go to one more store, then she'd hit the grocery store. Then we hit the grocery store right before we went home. So if the grocery store isn't bad enough, and now as an adult, I'm like, nah, I don't want to go to the grocery store. Well, I take that back. I didn't want to go to the grocery store, and then I had Peanut, and sometimes just to escape my household, I would be like, I'm going to the grocery store. And then I would walk up and down every aisle. Even though I didn't need everything in every aisle, I still would do it. It was better when I could get away and go to Target, though, because they got coffee in the store, and then I would just peruse every aisle. Like, that was my vacation. Anyway, so then she would hit the grocery store, and we would, if it was nice out, we would sometimes be able to talk her into letting us stay in the car. My sister is 3 years older than me, so she was like old enough to, be with me in the car. Plus things were different back then. But so we would like listen to the radio and hang out in the car and read books and talk to each other and anything to just get out of going in the grocery store. And honestly, she probably was like, stay in the car. I don't want to have to hear your voices anymore, because I wouldn't blame her, not one bit. Nope. That's a long day with 2 kids. And we weren't, I mean, yeah, we probably weren't exactly pleasant, because I didn't like shopping. Kim probably didn't like it so much either. Yeah, so she was probably like, yeah, you stay here. I'll go in the grocery store by myself. Oh, no, she's probably going to be like, no, that's not true. I loved every minute I spent with you kids. Which she probably did in hindsight, but maybe in the moment, not so much. Parenting's hard. Parenting is, yeah, sometimes it can be a lot. And I love Peanut mostly. He's, he's pretty awesome, but he's getting into that sass stage right now where he doesn't want to listen too much. Doesn't want to listen too much sometimes. Bedtime's the struggle, for real. And I know no kid wants to go to bed, which is basically like when you're ready for them to go to bed and all of your energy is depleted and you're like, oh my gosh, for the love of all that is holy, all I want you to do is get into this bed and close your eyes and just be quiet for 5 minutes. And they just can't do it, can't bring themselves to do it. Because they're siphoning your energy while you're sleeping, like little gremlins. I'm telling you, it's a thing that happens. So, coloring is done. Now that the coloring is done, I am going to go in with a white... I'm lying to you. I'm using those same warm gray markers to ground them, so they don't just look like they're, floating out there. And then I'm not even going to blend them out. Like, I'm going to start with the lightest color and go into my darkest color, and I'm not even going to blend them out. Then I'm going to use a white gel pen, and with the white gel pen, I'm going to use it beforehand and before I do the black marker, like the black pen I outline with. You guys know what I'm saying. You've been here before. And then I'm going to use it again after, and there's a reason why. So when I do the patterns, here I got a little bit of gray in his eyeball, so I was fixing that and then fixing my little spot. When I do the patterns, sometimes the white marker goes over the black line. And so consequently, I need to do this part before I do the black outline. But there was another thing that I wanted to do, which was make their, the little pom-poms on the end of their hats fuzzy. And that had to be done after because it needed to go over the black line. See what I'm saying? There's also going to be a little break in the presentation of a regularly scheduled program where you can listen to a conversation between Peanut and I and a little bit of his, he's adorable, but then also his not following any kinds of instruction whatsoever. So that will be coming up here in just a second, and I don't want to talk over it. So hopefully it will be very quick and there won't be a long break. It should be here in just a second. I thought you guys would like to listen to it.
It's my favorite.
Yeah? You know what kind of dog that is? Leave it alone.
A Pluto.
A what?
Pluto.
Well, he looks kind of like Pluto the way his face is shaped, but he's a Dalmatian.
Alright, but do you want this to live?
No, I do not. Nathan.
I think that out.
Yeah, you need to learn how to follow instructions. It's
a
a struggle, I know.
I need it.
No, you don't. I need it. Nathan, I need it. Please stop. Thank you. Alright, can
Mine looks like
You got a string on here.
this.
Yeah.
It looks stupid.
It doesn't look stupid.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't. We don't use those words.
Well, to me it looks stupid.
Nathan, I'm telling you right now. Don't do it, kiddo.
What?
So as you can see, I encourage him not to use that word because there's no scenario that exists where using the word stupid is kind, whether it's to yourself or to somebody else. So I tell him exactly the same thing I tell you guys. Like, don't talk to yourselves like that. After I did the patterns, I went in with the R35 and just went over the areas that were shaded. And then, of course, I needed to add a little bit of glitter because that just makes my life happy. So I glittered all of the hats and the scarves with my clear Wink of Stella. And then that is pretty much it. That's the entire card. So I'm hoping to be back with you guys again one more time before Christmas bare minimum. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.